Hey, so it's a dark New England day. I got my Hellfire Club shirt on. I got my black cat. Let's talk about some records. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another video with the Monkey Something Sensei. And today I have another vinyl pickups video. I want to show off some new records that I acquired in the past couple of months. Some stuff to fill out the collection, and some stuff to start out a band's collection. And I'm going to get right into it. Starting off, we have the new Green Day album, Saviors, that came out a couple months back, all the way in January. I know, I can't believe it's already March, but this is the new album from Green Day, Saviors. I bought this on CD. I showed that off in my mini unboxing review of the album, but here I have the indie store exclusive, one of the record store exclusives. It is a half pink and half black swirl vinyl. Now, this has to take the cake for one of the laziest vinyl pressings of color I've ever seen. And let me show you why. Now, don't get me wrong, this sounds great on vinyl. I actually put this on the other day, listened to the full thing. Absolutely love this album. This is my album of the year so far. I know the year is still young, but so far it's a top contender. Say, look, all right, got that nice, beautiful pink. But then, look, it's just black. That's it. It's like they just dipped this half, like, you know, Achilles heel. Just dip that in. Oh, there you go. There's your vinyl pressing. I hope you like spending $35. Comes with an awesome poster, too, which I'm not going to be able to fold out because it's way too complicated. It took me half an hour to get this back, believe it or not. But it's pretty much like a booklet poster. You have the last couple songs, lyrics here. You gotta love those lyrics, am I right? And then you got some credits and an awesome photo of the guys. It's actually, knucklehead me, got upside down here. There we go. There's the guys. You know, these guys are like early 50s, like 52, 53, and they're still making kick-ass punk music. So that says a lot about the guys. And you vinyl heads know how hard it is to get posters back in the sleeves once you open them back up. It is nearly impossible. I got cats around me. I'm under pressure here. I don't know if I can do it, guys. I might need some help. I got this over at Deafman Vinyl. If you guys watch my channel, you know how much I love supporting Steven in his store. Great vinyl store. He also offers financing, like I believe it's Shop Pay or Afterpay. So if you want to get 3 or 4 albums at a time and you want to just pay that off, you can do that. As long as you get accepted, you don't need really great credit or anything. Just get like 3 or 4 albums. He ships them in about a week or 2, depending on where you live, and there you go. And I got this along with my moving pictures print behind me for about $50. Took me about 2 months to pay it off. The payments were like, you know, $16, $17. So if you want to go that route, I'd highly recommend Deafman Vinyl for that. I'll leave a link in the description below, my kind of review shopping haul of when I actually shopped online at his store. That was Green Day Savior, my album of 2024 so far. And now moving on from the last Green Day album to the band's first major label debut album, 1994's Dookie. Now this album I did show off in a video previously. I did a little bit of an unboxing, kind of a review of it. You know, kind of go all over the place on that, but it's a decent review. If you want to check out a sort of track-by-track breakdown of how I feel about the entire album, I'd recommend watching that. I'll also leave that in the description down below. This version is pressed on baby blue vinyl for the 30th anniversary. Now, what's interesting is this came out a couple months before the new year even started, and this album hasn't even hit its anniversary yet. So they really hit the ground running on the reissue for this, probably because American Idiot also celebrates an anniversary. That album could be 20 years old in the next few months. And that's probably going to get its own box set and merchandise, whatever, pretty soon. So they probably want to rush this out a little premature, so that way, though, that album has its own sort of spotlight. But here's the vinyl, baby blue. And if you guys are hearing a sound in the background, it's my bathroom light. You know, when you turn the light on and it has the fan, yeah, I got to air out the room after I took a shower. You know, you got to prepare for these kind of things. You got to take a nice shower, put on a nice shirt, you know, you got to kind of comb the hair a little bit. You got to look nice for these kind of things. Beautiful baby blue. Sounds great, by the way. Not sure who mastered this, but it's a decent master. I mean, it's basically like a CD on a vinyl sort of deal, but, you know, I enjoy it. Great speaker. Great stereo separation. It's not too loud. Now, one thing that I have to complain about is the sibilance. There's lots of sibilance on this. That might be because of the whole 90s and sibilance and mixing things to be really loud, the loudness wars, and all that sort of stuff. But that's just a side effect of that. And now, I don't know if it's the master tape, maybe it's tape hiss, who knows. But yes, there's a lot of sibilance on here. So if you don't like sibilance, you might want to find a different pressing of this, because this has it in spades. After my cat decided to knock over my tripod and shut off my video recording completely, yeah, there's the culprit right there. We're back again, and I promise this is the last Green Day album I'm going to show, but I've not shown this off in any kind of video yet. So here it is. This is another anniversary, Insomniac. Yes, the 25th anniversary edition. This came out all the way back in 2021. Now, this is one of my favorite Green Day albums. There's just something about this. It's metallic, it's angry, it's speedy, it's just all over the place. There's speedy songs, there's more mid-tempo songs, again, angry songs. Just, this is Green Day's just metallic album. And I just love the overall vibe of this. The production, Mike's bass has such a nice crunch on here. And it's something that really wouldn't be replicated ever again in their kind of overall production sound. This is really the heaviest this band ever got. Minus the song One-Eyed Bastard on the last album, which one of my favorite songs from that. Really heavy, really reminiscent of this album, in fact. But this is the 25th anniversary. This is the 2 LP edition. The first album, the regular album, all fits on one vinyl, because Green Day albums are not that long, unless you count 21st Century Breakdown, but we'll get into that in another video. But this album is 45 minutes, if that. It's pretty short. You have great songs in here like Armature Shanks, Brat, Stuck With Me is great. Geek Think Breath, great, heavy one. Very grotesque kind of like imagery you get from listening to that. This album kind of came about because Billy Joe was trying to deal with fame and just being a father and the whirlwind of his life, just getting married, having kids, being family. Dookie, to talk about this, one of the biggest albums of all time. It pretty much started pop punk, arguably, in the 90s. Green Day were the godfathers of pop punk, essentially. And so these guys basically spearheaded a whole entire genre. After Kurt Cobain died, and a little bit of history lesson here, for those who don't know, after Kurt Cobain passed in 94, the music world was kind of shaken up. You know, grunge was still big, but it felt too real to the general populace. It was sort of like the day the music died, where music took a different turn after that. All the big influence had passed away due to unfortunate circumstances, and music had to change. Now, with Green Day's case, Dookie had come out 2 weeks before Kurt Cobain passed. So it did have a little bit of a slow rollout. It took a little while for word of mouth to go out, and people say, oh, this is a great album, and oh, this is energetic and fun. But once it got out, and once people had it in their hands, and when people saw the videos on MTV, that's when the ball really got rolling on that record. But what do you do when you make an album that literally changes the face of American music and influences so many bands and artists to come? Well, you basically do the same thing again, but this time they get louder and angrier. The thing about Dookie was, it was a big album, but it basically pissed off a lot of the band's earlier fans from the past couple of records when they were on an independent label, Lookout. And their club that they used to play at, 512 Gilman Street, I believe, they basically outcast them. Like, nope, you cannot play here again because you sold out to a major label, which in the 90s was a big deal. Nowadays, doesn't matter. But back then, selling out was a big deal, especially in the punk scene. If you sell out, you're done. You ain't talking to me ever again. In fact, the song 86 is pretty much about that same topic, which is another angry song. But tracks like that, and let's see, what else is on here? Brain Stew and Jaded, two of the best back-to-back songs that you have to play together. One of my personal favorites on here, though, is Stewart in the Avenue. That opening bass riff from Mike is so iconic and just so, it's playful, but it's also all over the fretboard, what he's doing there. And again, the bass work on here is one of the highlights. And one of the reasons why I really love Green Day as a band. The three guys, power trio, Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirnt, Trey Cool, the three guys of Green Day are pulling it together and really making solid music. And with this album being as anger-fueled as it is, you just have such passionate performances here. Look at this lenticular cover. It is awesome. If you guys owned the CD back in 95 when it came out, you'll notice that it's pretty much just this square here. That's the CD. But on vinyl, you have the full 12-inch artwork, which is just, it's chaotic, it's frantic, it's weird, it's kind of like circus almost, like 1950s kind of style artwork, you know, Coca-Cola kind of deal. Crazy. I mean, the back too, lenticular, the track listing down here. And then LP2 is actually a live disc, which is amazing. And I'll show you what's on the second side of the second LP in a moment. But we're going to open this up. Here's the original inner sleeve that it came in. I actually put these in MoFi sleeves while I still had some MoFi sleeves in my collection. Again, got to get more. I'm ditching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ones. That's inner sleeve 1. And here's inner sleeve 2. Now this is the one that had the live LP, Live in Prague from 95. And they play about 5 or 6 songs, I believe, from the album. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They play 8 songs from the album. It's all Insomniac cuts. So it's probably taken from different parts of the show. It's not like the full show or anything. But what's interesting about this is that this LP, the reason why this live material sounds so good, I found out, live tracks mastered by Chris Bellman. Okay, a lot of vinyl people, vinyl collectors, we know Chris Bellman. You hear that name, you know it's going to sound good. He's one of the best modern vinyl engineers in the game right now. Then you hear that name followed by Bernie Grundman mastering. Again, Bernie Grundman, he's kind of an older cat. He produced a lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s and mastered that. Mastered music from that era, from the 70s to put it on CD and vinyl from that era. But another big name in music, man. You hear Bernie Grundman, Chris Bellman. In fact, actually, my Van Halen albums, 1 and 2, they're in my collection, mastered the same exact way. Those were done by the master tape. I don't think there was tape for this. It was probably just a soundboard recording, whatever, but still, the live edition sounds fantastic. It's interesting. These, though, this isn't 180 gram. This is just standard 140, 150 gram. Doesn't really bug me, though. It's still a nice piece of vinyl, but one thing that's kind of weird is how you got to hold it. Standard black vinyl. I love the center label. Nice and gray. Really fits the mood of the album, you know? It's kind of dark and aggressive. And here's the second LP. Pretty much identical to the first LP. Again, it has all the live tracks on one side. All 8 songs on one side. But the kicker is side 2, or side 4. I mean, I don't know if you guys can catch that, but look at that freaking etching, man. Like, oh my god, it's the album cover, the full 12-inch album cover, but it's lenticular. Not lenticular, it's etched on there. Like, it's an etching. My brain's still thinking about the album cover, but look at this, man. Like, that's amazing. This is worth the price of admission alone. You know, I said I was going to put this stuff back in after I got done filming, but these are too expensive, man. I don't want to leave these out, because then I'm going to end up getting the heebie-jeebies by leaving them out in the middle of nowhere here. Just open air for them to breathe, which normally air is good, but for the records, no, air is not good. My only real complaint with these 3 albums is the simple fact that none of them are gatefolds. Especially the Insomniac. That's 2 LPs. That should have been a gatefold. An easy slam dunk. And I know these labels want to save money, so they just do these big boxed outer sleeves. You'll see a lot of these kind of big box sleeves with hip-hop albums. Like Gangstar, Outkast. They won't do gatefolds. For whatever reason, they'll just slip in. They'll make the box a little bit bigger, and they'll slip on the 2 LPs with the outer sleeves, or inner sleeves, and that's it. They give you a little lyric sheet, booklet, whatever, and that's it. Like, here you go. Give us $35, please. Alright, and this next band needs no introduction. In fact, if you know me, if you've seen this channel plenty of times, you know that this is my favorite band of all time. I may listen to other stuff a little more, but that's just because I don't want to ruin the magic of how much I actually love this band, if that makes any sense. And it's the band that's actually right behind me, and the band that's in book form over there on my CD bookshelf, and the band that I sometimes have on my shirts. And that is, of course, the Holy Triumvirate, if I'm saying that right. Canadian band. Trio. Rush. This is a great album, first of all. Really kickstarted their 80s phase, which is one of my favorite eras of this band, believe it or not. That's something I'll get into in a little bit. But do you notice anything with this cover? Anything with this vinyl sleeve? Do you notice anything weird? strange, anything like that. If I take the sleeve out, you'll notice. See? Well, besides the rip here, there's no spine. The spine is actually here. I bought this from a record shop called Roland Records. They're an online seller. I believe they're from New York. If I'm correct on that, I believe they're from New York. So they're a great little record store. But I bought this not knowing it had that kind of defect. And yeah, so I have a little bit of a misprinted jacket in my collection. I mean, it looks weird, man. Like, if you look, there's like no white here. It's like it was cut off. I might be speaking to a younger audience, maybe. But I don't know if you guys, when you went to high school and you had art class and you had those giant ass tables that had a giant saw that you put down and you cut the paper in half. That's what this reminds me of. Look at how little it's like if you didn't measure it properly because you're a dumbass or you're trying to rush through the project and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, and then you cut it. Yeah. Look at how uneven. You get this line, which looks nice, looks kind of normal, you know, and then this. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's cool though. I'm not gonna get rid of it. Now that I'm thinking about this, is actually on 180 gram vinyl because the 200 gram version, forget about it. I'm not paying the price for those. Those are like $80 and upwards for some of these. But yeah, 180 gram, the beautiful center label, replicated from the original 1982 version. Of course, Quality Records, one of the best pressing plants. And I really love their inner sleeves. Pretty much identical to the MoFi inner sleeve, so not much different there. Love the digitized photos of these guys too. And in fact, this album got a 40th anniversary edition. A lot of Rush fans already know this. But this got a 40th anniversary edition, but only on CD in Japan exclusively, and a big deluxe box set that retails for about $220. Now, I've seen it on Amazon go for about $100 to $150. Let me tell you guys, Black Friday, if that goes down to like $100, I'm probably gonna snatch it right up because I really want that box set. I kind of want to make amends for buying this because, obviously, and also because I want the book and everything else. I mean, you guys saw me unbox my super deluxe edition of Permanent Waves. I love this freaking box. It's amazing. The book and the memorabilia, the tour books, all that stuff. And then not to mention the other albums like 2112 and Pharaoh to Kings and all the other ones that got super deluxe box sets that I'm not going to be able to get. Because if you look at those prices, those are going for, I'm going to put in a listing up here, an example listing of 2112 or Hemispheres, whatever. Super deluxe, they want $500 up. Yeah, man, the vinyl of this sounds fantastic. I mean, this is really Rush's first foray into the full synthwave era. And they would go even deeper with albums like Grace Under Pressure, which for me is a top 5 Rush album. I love that record. Power Windows, fantastic album. Even Hold Your Fire, a fan's most hated Rush album. I love that album. I love Hold Your Fire. It's a great album, especially lyrically. If you can look past a lot of the dated 80s production, I think that album has some of Neil's best lyrical content, especially songs like Open Secrets and Time Stands Still and Force 10 and Mission and Turn the Page, not the Bob Seger song, but everything on that album, even High Water. You know, Tai Shan, say what you will about it, I think it would be better as an instrumental, but Neil's lyrics do paint a picture of being in China on a mountain. You actually can feel the cold being on the mountain. There's actually wind blowing right now to prove my point even more. Like, it's just a good song. Like, it's probably one of the weakest Rush songs, but still, on an album that's highly underrated, I'll take one song that's not as great as everything else. But getting back to Rush, I got one more record for you guys. And then I got a bonus, because this video might be too short after I do all the editing and everything else, because I have to edit my videos. I'm not like some people who can just do one take and, like, boom, 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 perfect video. I gotta cut this shit out. But this album, I've wanted for so long. And for the longest time, it was out of print. Even until 2019, it was back in print. And then, zoop, couldn't find it anymore. And this is one of my personal favorite Rush albums from that really bluesy, early hard rock period. This is before they really went prog. Well, except for one song. And I'm, of course, talking about, well, you just saw it. You see the wings? Yeah. 1975's Fly By Night. This record is, oh, this album kicks ass. Right from the starting gun, anthem, that like, Neil's on the drums. He's doing these kind of like drumming gymnastics all over the place. Like you could tell, like I like John Rutsey, but you could tell this is a totally different drummer. Totally different ball game that we're playing now. This is hard rock mixed with some prog. Neil's writing lyrics for the first time on this album. And you could say this album has a bit of an inconsistent track listing because you have songs that were written by Neil, but then you have songs that were leftovers from the first album, like Best I Can. That was written by Geddy, I believe. And then you have stuff on here like, I believe it was Fly By Night. No, not Fly By Night. In the End was actually written by Geddy and Alex, I believe. Yeah, Lee and Life Sentence is on here. So yeah, those two songs were they were leftovers from the first record, but they still fit really well in here. That's the thing about this album that I really like. If I'm not in the mood to listen to, let's say, 2112 or Farewell to Kings or Hemispheres or like that kind of uber progressive Rush, and I want something simple to listen to with a little dose of progressive rock, this is the album I'll gravitate towards. Because it has that hard rock from the first album, but the production's up a little bit more. Terry Brown's really coming into his own on this album with the band. I really feel like this is the first really great sounding Rush album. Not that the debut was any slouch, it sounds great, but you could tell it was an album that was recorded and then kind of remixed or remastered by Terry Brown. But this is really his first outing with the band. This is before Hugh Syme did the awesome album covers that would follow in their career. This was instead of painting or drawing by, I'm not sure who did this actually, I forgot, but I'll put the names somewhere up here to give them their due. But this is an iconic album cover. I could just imagine being a kid, 1975, going to the record store, flipping through, you see Aerosmith Rocks, and, you see, like Boston, they were coming out, you see other albums, like Alice Cooper, great album covers, but then you see this, and to me this is kind of dark, it's spooky, it's winter, this is like a winter album. Like, it's rocking and heavy, but this is an album you can put on the turntable while it's snowing out, maybe a gentle rain, and it's just sounds so good. This is the 2015 version on vinyl. Well, 2019 version, because these got pressed in 2015. They all got pressed. Everything from Fly By Night up until Hold Your Fire are the Mercury reissues. So those all got repressed on 200-gram vinyl. And then they did the Atlantic reissues. So everything from Presto, even the live albums, everything from Presto up until Test for Echo. So everything from the 70s I own is 180-gram vinyl. But regardless, 180, 200, those 20 grams really don't matter much in the long run. These pressings sound fantastic. I love these vinyl pressings. These were done by Sean McGee over at Abbey Road Studios. Again, another name in the vinyl community, especially lately. He's been doing a lot of great album work. But yeah, Sean McGee, beautiful mastering here. Of course, Abbey Road Studios, the Beatles, a lot of great artists. Re-record, remix, whatever. Half-speed master. Abbey Road's a huge name in half-speed mastering. They did the Creedence albums. I got Green River back here somewhere. They've done a bunch. The Who. Paul McCartney's getting a lot of his albums half-speed mastered, vinyl, deluxe, everything. So yeah, long story short, these sound great. Yeah, look at this cover too. My only hiccup with this is that it's got a cracked spine. I don't like that, man. Like, I hate damage. This is why I buy reissues, because I hate ring wear, I hate damage, I hate all that stuff. I try to get new records. Despite the price of new records, I love buying new vinyl, because it just looks beautiful. This came with an inner sleeve reproduction of the original 1975 album. And look at how young the guys were on here. Like, holy crap. I wish I could have seen these guys in their heyday, or at least in this early era. I mean, let's be honest, I wish I could have seen Rush live at all. I never got to see Rush live. I discovered them 2018. They retired that year, essentially. Their last tour was 2015, the R40 tour. And yeah, so great stuff, but I never got a chance to see them. But that aside, I mean, I just love Neil's handwritten lyrics. This is something that gives Rush a more personal connection with their fans. Not only are they nice guys, but Neil's handwritten lyrics, I mean, oh my God, like, just so nice. I actually have the book in my Permanent Ways box set that actually has most of the songs. It's called The Lyrics and the Words are the Pictures and the Words Volume 2, Volume 2. Volume 1 is in the Hemispheres box, which I'm never going to get that. It's like $600, like I was saying earlier. But that has a bunch of handwritten lyrics from Neil's, like random albums and photos and stuff. And it really adds a personal touch that you don't get with a lot of bands. And another thing about these reissues, that the Rush reissues, these came out beautifully. Not only are they in great jackets, minus my damaged one, but that's probably because it was in a warehouse and it wasn't taken care of, but in the sound, but also the inner sleeves. These are great rice paper sleeves. They're not any kind of name brand, they're not MoFi, whatever, but they're great sleeves. I don't have to change these. I don't have to spend $20 more to buy 20 more sleeves or 30 more sleeves or whatever. I have a nice sleeve right here, and look at how beautiful the vinyl is. There is a little bit of pops and clicks here and there, like Rivendell, because it's such a quiet song. There is a little bit of crackling here and there. Maybe I should re-clean my record again. Maybe I'll clean my stylus again. But other than that song and a couple of quieter moments, like stuff from like By Tour, where it kind of mellows out and you get that little tubular bell, and during the end of the battle and that whole section, everything else just smokes. It rocks. Put that needle on. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, hell yeah. Just great stuff. Now, before we get to the bonus round, I did want to mention that I don't own the first Rush album on vinyl. I do have it on CD. I have a 97 reissue. It was the Rush Remasters campaign. I actually have 2 copies, one sealed and one opened. I bought them both at the same time because I figured, why not? I'm never going to find another sealed copy of Rush ever again. But even though I did end up buying a 2112 and a couple of greatest hits, Icon, Spirit of Radio, whatever, but I have that on CD, which I like those remasters. They're good, you know. They're whatever. They're CDs, so they're loud as hell. 90 CD, Loudness Wars, Epic. You know, if you like loud mixes, you're going to love those. But I do not own it on vinyl because the only way you could get a reissued copy of the first album is through the Rediscovered box set, which came out in 2014 for the album's 40th anniversary. Now, they didn't reissue that for whatever reason by itself. There's no singular pressing of that. All you get is the box set. And that I think that fell out of print. That came out of print a lot quicker than people anticipated. That was gone. And then I think about a couple of months ago or so, they ended up bringing it back, and then it sold out again. So I missed my opportunity twice to get it. Now, let's hope for this year, because it is the 50th anniversary of the band, that we do get another pressing of it, you know, another run of it. Because if we do, and they charge the same amount of money for it, and it's the same kind of SKU, then I'm snatching it right up. Whether I got to do a payment plan, or I got to buy it outright, whatever, that's going to be mine. And as much as I love talking about my favorite band, Rush, we got to move on to something else, or we'll be here all day. But suffice to say, these copies are freaking amazing. And I recommend to anyone who's getting back into vinyl to pick these up. These now go for about $35-40, a little on the pricey side. But as a side note, Rush Backstage, that's like their official merchandise site. They have a few copies of these albums, especially Fly By Night, 200 gram. Yes, so if you want to get an original 2015 version of this, or some of the other albums, I believe Farewell to Kings is one of them. Exit Stage Left, I believe, is also 200 gram. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, Rush Backstage. If you see those 200 grams, grab those, because they are not going to be on the store forever. In fact, I'm thinking about someday, if they're still available on the website, with the damage here, trading this in and buying a nice 200 gram copy of it, and hoping to God there's no sleeve damage, because I would love to upgrade this copy. For as good as it is, I really want one that doesn't have a big spine crack in it. Now, before my voice goes completely, and I go completely hoarse, because I've been talking for so long, and I've not had anything to drink in about 2 hours probably. Well, exaggeration, but almost an hour now I've been filming this damn video. Now, didn't want you guys to see that yet. I'm going to throw in a bonus round. This album is kind of unknown. The band isn't unknown. They're a pretty big band, especially in the 80s. They really got their big break in the 80s with their Blackout album. But this album is one of my personal favorite albums from this band. And that is, of course, Scorpions. Tail. I don't know. But Scorpions, Fly to the Rainbow, man. This is from 1975. Again, like Fly By Night, another 75 album. Again, I didn't plan that. Fly to the Rainbow, Fly By Night. That was not planned. I just picked this off the shelf for the random album I didn't show off in any videos yet. Funny how that works. But yes, this album from 1975. This is the first album to feature Uli John Roth on guitar. a lot of Scorpions fans that are more familiar with the later stuff, like the later 70s and early 80s material, they might not know about this album or Uli Jon Roth. But essentially, he joined them on this album after they dropped their first album, which had a scorpion tail in the hand. I don't remember what the album was called now. But they dropped that album. It might have been self-titled, actually, back in 72. And that had Michael Schenker of UFO fame on it before he even joined UFO. In fact, UFO actually plucked him away from Scorpions to join their band until they had a falling out after their live album Angel of the Night. But getting back to Scorpions, Uli Jon Roth joined them. And he is I'm going to say, a German Jimi Hendrix. That's the best way I can describe Uli Jon Roth. He's a blues guitarist through and through. And for that reason, would be the catalyst as to him leaving the band in the later part of the 70s. But this is the first album he's on. This is a great album. Weird-ass album cover, I gotta admit. Really weird album cover. But that being said, I really do love it anyway. It's kind of silly. Like, you got the guy's ass right there with the band members on it. So it shows that they're not taking themselves too seriously on here. Like, yeah, we don't care. We'll put our band's name. We'll put our names on this weird Joker-looking guy's ass. We don't care. But yeah, kind of trippy. But it suits the mood of the album. Like, it's kind of dark and bluesy and moody and kind of heavy rocking and stuff, you know? I really like this album, though. You have the opening track, Speedy's Coming. Great freaking opening song that is. It just really rips with Uli's guitar solo. The drums are great on here. Who plays drums on this? Jürgen Rothenthal. I don't know who that is. He's not with the band anymore, I don't think. I think he's the one that passed recently, if I remember correctly. He's one of the original drummers for this band. And if he is passed, rest in peace, because his drumming is great on this. They started off with Taken by Force, and they went forward. So Taken by Force with the last Uli Jon Roth album, and then he left. And then they did Tokyo Tapes, and then he left. They convinced him to stay for one live album. He left. Then in comes Matthias Jabs. But this album never got reissued, and neither did In Trance or Virgin Killer. Those three never got the 50th anniversary deluxe vinyl CD treatment. So I'd want to say last year, the year before, they have this campaign for the art of the album. It's like this, like this campaign where they reissue different bands' albums. They do a lot of the catalog and put it on colored vinyl. This time they did the Scorpions. And in this special edition, 180 gram vinyl, remastered from original analog tape. I don't know if you guys can see that there. Let me take it out of the sleeve, actually. That's a lot better. There we go. Yeah, so mastered analog tape, 180 gram vinyl, colored vinyl, all the works. So I know this album, basically every album up until Savage Amusement, even the live albums, Tokyo Tapes and Worldwide Live, those all got reissued on colored vinyl, all 180 gram. I know that this album, In Trance, and Virgin Killer, those three were all done by analog tape, the ones that didn't get re-released before, so it's nice to have these. And in fact, this is the only Scorpions album that I own on any piece of media, but on vinyl specifically. I don't own anything else. I eventually want to get the Uli era. I want to get In Trance and pick up Virgin Killer and Tokyo Tapes and Taken by Force. I want to get all those first because those are harder to get and they're expensive. They're kind of getting expensive now, and they're exclusively on the Art of the Album website, and then the people sell them on eBay. And I think I actually bought this off eBay for like $30, which is a good deal though. Great deal. But wait till you see the color of this vinyl. See, even Nala's impressed. See, look, even she loves the colored vinyl. It's coming off on camera more as like a light purple. The light is really shining through here. Look at that. It actually looks really nice from the sun. But you can imagine it's a little darker. It's more like a magenta kind of purple. And actually, purple is my favorite color. Like a nice dark purple like this. My favorite color. And it's like royalty and magic and, yeah, wind, you know? Like, just good stuff all around. And again, nice clean vinyl. Well, clean until she gets her hands on it. I try not to let the cats use my turntable, but sometimes when I'm not home, they just turn it on, listen to music, and then I come home and my records are full of cat fur. And the jacket came in too. I don't have to change this out either. Polyline paper sleeve, beautiful, keeps the record protected, keeps it nice and clean. Again, until they get to it. And while I love the 80s version of Scorpions, Blackout, Love Drive, Animal Magnetism, Love at First Thing, those albums are great, they're classic. To me, this is really my Scorpions era. I love Uli John Roth. I mean, I love the blues. I love Albert King, Freddie King. I love when Jimi Hendrix did the blues. I love when Clapton did the blues. Who else? Robert Johnson for more of like a folky blues. Like, I love all that stuff. That stuff to me is classic and some of my favorite music. And Uli John Roth being this bluesy kind of German version of Jimi Hendrix, I'm all over that shit, man. Like, this is just fantastic. Album and the first couple records expecting like Rocky Like a Hurricane or Blackout or Can't Live Without You, you know, The Zoo. No, you're not getting that here. Really temper your expectations. Don't expect it to be like this heavy rock album. Yeah, Speedy's Coming is pretty heavy. The heavy song. One of my favorite Scorpions openers of any of their albums. But that's kind of the exception on here. You have like Drifting Sun, which is this heavy kind of progressive piece. Very proggy, actually. Which is something else that Uli brought to the table. He brought some of that kind of progressive rock energy to the band that they kind of lost after he left. They went more meat and potatoes rock in a way, and they left a lot of that blues and progressive influence behind. And I feel like Uli really had his own personality in the band, sort of like Kiss with Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. They had their own personality. You pluck them out, all you have left is Peter and Gene and Paul and Gene, and they kind of, it just doesn't compare to the early Kiss material from that period of 73 to 77, you know? If you are a Scorpion fan and you want to venture out, or even if you like blues music and haven't listened to this stuff before because you're like, oh, Scorpions, they're a meat and potatoes kind of hard rock heavy metal band, check this out, man. Check this album out. This is great stuff. The one after this, In Trance, is fantastic. Virgin Killer kicks ass. It's really their first really hard rock and heavy album. It's pretty heavy all over the place. You still have some bluesy moments, but good stuff. What I really like is when Uli sings, he's like Ace Frehley. Not a great voice, but he has his own special kind of voice, where he's not a great singer, but his vocals have his own stamp to them. And one thing I really love about this era is you have Uli singing. After this, only Klaus Meine. He's the only one singing after that. That's it. But on these early albums, you have Uli singing. I think Rudolph sings one of the songs. I think They Need a Million. I believe Rudolph sings the I Don't Need the Millions Because They're All Poor. He sings like that little verse portion, which, again, I love that, man. Like, it adds personality to that. And then you have Klaus doing the backing vocals, which, thinking about that today, it's mind-boggling. But yeah, that was something that happened in this period. They were experimenting with blues, psychedelic rock, blues, hard rock, everything. This is a wild trip of an album. And it ends with Fly to the Rainbow, the title track, 9 minutes and 51 seconds. Probably the longest Scorpion song ever. I think these guys being German really helped them with their influence. Like, these guys were listening to music from Britain, but then you also have the blues from the United States, and you have the psychedelic rock, and then you have stuff from the South that they kind of incorporate a little bit in here too. So these guys are in Germany, they're hearing all of these different influences, and they're taking that, especially Uli, and they're putting their own stamp on it on here. And I think that's what makes this era of Scorpions really unique that you don't get on the later stuff. I love the line on Speedy's Coming where Klaus is like, do you like Alice Cooper? Do you like Ringo Starr? Do you like David Bowie and Friends at the Royal Albert Hall? It's like, that right there, that shows you the influence that these guys had. These guys were listening to the Beatles and Alice Cooper and, glam rock. And there's a little bit of, like, glammy stuff on here, too. And you could argue, like, a little bit of everything. It's just a melting pot of genres that I'm repeating myself now, but melting pot of genres that just make this album so special. And while it might not be the best Scorpions album, damn it, it's one of my favorites. All that aside, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It always helps the channel out. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. I want to get to 200 subs before the end of the year. I greatly appreciate that. Slap that notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video to the channel. And don't forget to listen to Rush. And for all my fellow monks out there, don't forget to keep spinning those discs.